Today on Public Eye News, a look at a historic solar eclipse, and later in the show, the latest on Warren Buffett-owned BNSF Railway as they head to trial over asbestos deaths in Montana.
Megan Tarcia will have a look at when you should expect sporadic showers to hit this week, and I'll have a March Madness report you won't want to miss. I'm Luke Middle.
And I'm Susanna Gwynn, and this is Public Eye News. Starting off with a look at the historic solar eclipse today, in Marquette we got front row seats to the eclipse just an hour ago as it passed us by. You can see a mass of students forming to get a peek from our Skycam. Across the country, partial and total views of the eclipse could be seen through many tinted lenses and telescopes. While another partial eclipse is due in March of next year, another total eclipse likely won't come back until 2044. The UP received 80% totality, so anybody who got a break in the clouds, we hope it was a pretty sight. And President Biden will travel to Wisconsin on Monday to unveil a new plan to ease the burden of student debt for more than 30 million borrowers. This trip comes just days after primary voting shed light on political weaknesses for the president as he prepares for the November 2024 election. In the critical battleground state, more than 45,000 registered Democratic voters chose uninstructed instead of Biden during the primary voting. Similar splintering of the Biden vote was also seen in Minnesota and Michigan as Democrats seek to solidify more voters. Many young people cite Biden's support for Israel and the exhaustive process to forgive student debt as the reason for voting uninstructed. The president's new debt plan would increase federal student loan relief to new categories of borrowers through something called a Higher Education Act.
The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has awarded comprehensive health care program contracts for state Medicaid health plans, which will benefit nearly 2 million Michigan residents. 10 regions will receive contracts based on Prosperity regions, with Region 1 being the Upper Peninsula Prosperity Alliance. The contract begins October 1st and will run 5 years with a 1-year optional extension. In the new contracts, the MDHHS made changes to strengthen Medicaid services that are currently provided to eligible residents. Most notably, the introduction of, quote, in lieu of services, end quote, will allow for plans to pay for nutrition services that have shown to improve general health. And in Madison, Wisconsin Democratic Governor Tony Evers vetoed a Republican bill today that would authorize 14 and 15-year-olds to work in the state without parental or guardian approval or without a state permit. Evers says he vetoed the bill due to an objection to eliminating one of the main processes that ensures against exploitation of minors in the workforce and dangerous working conditions. Due to a lack of seats, Republicans are currently unable to overturn the veto for the bill, which the party states would improve employment for Wisconsin by eliminating red tape barriers for both teenage job applicants and employers. Wisconsin governors are not completely unfamiliar with eliminating barriers to employment, as former Governor Scott Walker passed a bill in 2017 that approved 16 and 17-year-olds to work with no prior approval to outside parties. And the ongoing saga in the Jesse Khrushchevsky trial has come to an end following a sentencing hearing that will see her behind bars for at least 30 years. WDJT's Stephanie Rodriguez has the report.
I believe Jesse is pure evil.
Friends of Lynn Hernan didn't hold back during Jesse Khrushchevsky's sentencing Friday.
I hope you know your charade is up and that you will never fool anyone again.
They wanted to focus on the woman some knew as Auntie Linny.
She was more than just a statistic, more than just a name in a news headline. She was a beloved friend, a cherished family member, a bright light extinguished far too soon.
Khrushchevsky's mother and a former cellmate briefly spoke in her defense, while she spent 2 hours denying her conviction.
Mark my words when I say you are sending an innocent person to prison today.
She also read letters she claims Hernan penned, including an alleged suicide note.
I am choosing this on my own terms and how I see fit. No one played any part in this decision or acted in it. I have chose to drink Visine to end my life.
But Judge Jennifer Duro didn't buy it.
Those letters, no way Lynn Hernan wrote those.
And shared that she believes Khrushchevsky used eye drops to control and steal from a woman she described as the perfect victim.
Were you poisoning Lynn Hernan all along?
Duro gave Khrushchevsky eligibility for parole after 30 years, but she will have to serve 5 years for 2 theft charges consecutively, meaning she'll be 80 by the time she can apply for parole. This decision is one Hernan's loved ones are okay with.
We have to put some compassion in everything, and she's very good at it. She's very good at making sure that the story is truly portrayed as it really is. And I think it was in this circumstance, and I think that justice was served.
And don't touch that dial. Megan Tarcia will be right back with your upcoming weekend forecast. A look into the clouds after this short break.
Subtle rises in sea level.
These events are climate change.
Let's figure it out.
It's science and it's conservation.
We're at a period of remaking the world.
We can change the earth.
We're doing this for the future. If we don't, what then?
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarcia here with your Public Eye weather update for today. Looking ahead at our campus Skycam, as you can see, the clouds have rolled back in, but about an hour ago for that solar eclipse, we did have clear skies, thank God. Looking across the UP, starting way up in Houghton, it is 49 and partly cloudy. The clouds have actually seemed to roll in across the whole UP. Ironwood at a high of 47, Iron Mountain at 58. I hope they're wearing shorts down there today. Menominee at 56, Escanaba at 54, Manistique at 51. Up in Sault Ste. Marie, it's 54, and Marquette as well at 51 degrees. Looking at our current conditions here in Marquette, it's partly cloudy, like I said, and our winds are south-southeast at 15 miles per hour, and our barometric pressure is 29.78 inches and rising. Looking ahead at tonight's conditions, those partly cloudy skies are not going anywhere, but we do have a low of 40, so not too chilly for tonight. I'll take it. Winds are south-southwest at 12 miles per hour tonight. And looking at tomorrow's conditions, those rain showers are heading our way with a high of 50, a low of 40, and our winds will be out of the north at 9 miles per hour. Looking ahead at the end of our week, starting with Wednesday, we have a high of 57 here. Like I said, I hope we can roll out those shorts sometime soon. Low of 43. Thursday, those clouds come back with a high of 54 and a low of 38. And Friday, as you can see, those rain showers are coming back for us with a high of 44 and a low of 37. Sending it back to Susanna with our national news stories.
Thank you so much, Megan, for that weather report. And now back to your news. More trouble for Boeing as a Southwest Airlines jet has returned to Denver after the engine cover fell off and struck a wing flap during takeoff. The Boeing 737 did land safely, and the passengers heading to Houston were put on an alternate aircraft. It is the second mishap this week for the airline, with a flight from Texas on Thursday being canceled due to a reported engine fire. The Lubbock, Texas Fire Department did confirm that a fire in one of the two engines was extinguished. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating both incidents. And in the Northwest, jury selection has begun against Warren Buffett's BNSF Railway Company regarding the lung cancer deaths of two people. The deaths both occurred in Libby, Montana, a town near the U.S.-Canadian border, where thousands were exposed to asbestos from a vermiculite mine in the area. This widespread contamination over many years led to the United States Environmental Protection Agency declaring a public health emergency there in 2009. The W.R. Grace and Company mine produced contaminated vermiculite that left residents vulnerable to asbestos, sickening several thousand and leading to the deaths of several hundred people. As the war between Israel and Hamas has entered its sixth month, the Prime Minister of Israel says the country is, quote, one step closer to victory, end quote, as Israel ground troops move out of southern Gaza over the weekend. More than 33,000 Palestinians have been killed since the war began, according to Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. CBS News' Naomi Ruckham has more from New York.
Over the weekend, the grief-stricken families of some of the roughly 1,200 Israelis killed by Hamas on October 7th gathered to mark 6 months since the horrific attacks.
We're missing them badly, and we're looking for a way to keep on going without them, and it's really difficult.
Let my people go!
Around the U.S. and in Tel Aviv, protesters took to the streets to demand a deal to release the remaining Israeli hostages taken by the militants that day.
I feel that I have failed, and I feel that our governments have failed, and I feel that all the parties at the table have failed to get these 133 souls back home.
Frustration is also growing over Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of the conflict. Yesterday, Netanyahu said his country is one step away from victory. Israeli troops began reducing their numbers in Gaza over the weekend, though officials there say it's an evolution of the war effort and not a withdrawal.
The indications that we've been getting from them this morning is this is really largely rest and refit for troops.
The troop drawdown has prompted some of the displaced to return home for the first time. More humanitarian aid trucks traveled into the region Sunday, a move promised by Israel days after its defense forces mistakenly launched a strike that killed 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Wait right there. After this short break, I'll have a look at a thrilling March Madness in your Public Eye Sports Breakdown. Stay tuned.
The PBS NewsHour, putting questions to those in power.
We're in the 4th wave. There aren't enough tests. Is it time for a new approach?
Providing insight into big issues.
The speech in many ways sets the foundation for Democrats as they renew their push for voting rights.
Focusing on underreported issues.
What are these girls missing while their mothers are in prison that you're trying to help them get?
Weeknights on your PBS station and online.
Monday through Friday at 7 p.m.
Welcome back to Public Eye Sports. Once again, I'm your host, Luke Niddle, and I'll be taking you through our Monday breakdown. Starting off on the hardwood, the South Carolina Gamecocks completed the impossible, claiming their 3rd national championship in 7 years and finishing 38-0, only the 10th women's team to ever accomplish the Goliath feat. It was a backyard brawl between Iowa and South Carolina in the national championship, with the Hawkeyes and Gamecocks trading blows until the final few minutes, with South Carolina pulling away to win it all 87-75. Under the guidance of head coach Dawn Staley, USC has turned into a dynasty, compiling a mind-boggling 110-3 record over the past 3 seasons. Since taking reign as coach of the Gamecocks in 2008, Staley became the only person in the history of basketball in either men's or women's collegiate play to win the James Naismith Award as both a player and a coach. And keeping it in the same spirit of national championships, the much anticipated showdown between the UConn Huskies and the Purdue Boilermakers is happening tonight. Both teams dominated the regular season, and both have sheared their way through the tournament, with UConn winning tournament games by an average of 25 points, and the Boilermakers steamrolling opponents by nearly 20 points. The premier matchup to pencil in tonight will be in the paint, with Donovan Clingan and Zach Edey going toe-to-toe. Both big men have completely wrecked anyone brave enough to stand in their way, with Clingan averaging 16.2 points, 9 boards, and a mind-boggling 3.6 blocks. As for the 7'4" Edey, he's putting up 28 points and 15.4 rebounds. With the Huskies looking to grab back-to-back natties and Purdue trying to claim their first NCAA tournament-era championship, it'll surely be the matchup of the decade. And ending it off with a little bit of lacrosse, the NMU women's team recently returned to the Dome after a month-long road trip and opened up GLIAC play. While the Cats didn't play their best against Grand Valley, losing 17-6, Northern bounced back against Davenport, catpiling on the Panthers 18-7. Along with the win, Minnie Battelle scored her 200th career goal, becoming only one of 7 active Division II players to accomplish the scoring feat. Well, Susanna, we had that solar eclipse today that mostly everybody at Public Eye News got to see. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was a beautiful celestial event, very rare, and I thought it was great. I'd never seen one before. I had a really good time. What do you think?
It was great. It was great. I understand you have...
And that looks like all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching.
Oh, we do have a little bit more time.
Yes.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Public Eye News. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube down below or follow us on Instagram at NMU Penn to never miss a story.